Good evening. Here is the world news from BGI TV, Baba Bagede Imo Television. I am Moriwe Rebila Lawal. First are the major headlines for the world news. We have arrested Owo church attackers, says CDS. If northern governors had done what the southwest governors did, insecurity in the north wouldn't be as it is. Traditionally seek support to fight security challenges. ASU strike. We are not happy with Keyamo over no money comment. Residents camper for safety in Katsina metropolis as bandits takes over. Bandit released 7 more kidnapped train passengers. Amotekun now suspects over kidnap of Ondo traditional heir. I am not a cross-dresser, then relay distance self from Bob Risky, James Brown. Ruto leads in tight Kenya presidential race. And finally, on sports, I regret not signing Super Eagles winger. Leicester City coach confesses. Now the news in detail. The chief of the defense staff, CDS General Lucky Irabo, says the mastermind of the June 5 massacre in Owo, Ondo State, are being captured by security operatives. The news agency of Nigeria now recalls that no fewer than 40 worshippers were massacred at the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, in an incident that jolted Nigeria and the global community. Speaking at the parley with media executives at the defense headquarters in Abuja on Tuesday, Irabo said the terrorists were captured at different locations across the country. He said the suspect, majority of whom were arrested in various communities in Kogi, will be paraded before the public in due course. We had wanted to present the suspect to the public immediately, but couldn't because certain investigations are still being carried out, he said. He gave his assurance that in due course, the suspect and others who had been involved in some daring attacks in the past few months would be presented to the public. Starting with the Owo church attack, it is my pleasure to let you know that we have arrested those behind that dastardly acts. On August 7th, one Idris Ojo, 37, was apprehended at Ayetorisi in Ondo State. He was one of the high-profile Islamic State in West African province ISWAP members that escaped from Kuje prison. He was arrested along with one Jimo Ibrahim, a 39-year-old criminal. Ojo was not done with all the criminal activities which he undertook in the past. He was also planning other deadly attacks, and he was perfecting those plans along with his cronies before he was captured, he said. Again, on August 4th, the military, in a combined operation with the Department of State Service, DSS, arrested 4 terrorists at Eka in Okei, local government area of Kogi State. Others are Idris Abdulmalik Omeza, otherwise known as Ibn Malik, Momo Abubakar, Aliyu Itopa, and Awal Onimisi.
It's a robust interactive session between men of the Nigerian military and media executives in Abuja. The objective here is to foster increased collaboration with the media to end terrorism. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, makes some disclosures on some arrested terrorists, including those responsible for the June 5th Catholic Church attack in Owo, Ondo State. He says investigations are still ongoing and the manhunt is still on to arrest and bring all perpetrators to book.
It's my pleasure to also let you know that starting with the Owo church attack, we have arrested those behind that dastardly act. It was my intention to present them to the public, but of course, because of certain, investigations were still carrying out, I had to, on the last count, change my mind in that. Otherwise, I would have brought them here for you to see them. And I'd like to say that in due course, you will see them. Not just those ones, but of course, those who have been at the heart of very daring attacks, those who have turned themselves to men of evil.
But that's not all. Irabo and other officials explain how the Nigerian military is making quick wins, including long-term strategies to secure the nation.
Let me say that it's not just only the armed forces that were involved. The DSS, the police, and of course other intelligence agencies were part and parcel of the effort to apprehend these criminals.
As the interaction intensifies, there is an increased call for media practitioners to shun one-sided media reportage of terror attacks. Journalists are also calling on the military to re-engage the media in swift information dissemination to counter terrorist propaganda.
The high rate of insecurity in most parts of Nigeria has been and is still a concern for many Nigerians and the international community. The North has been specifically targeted by evildoers who go under different names ranging from bandits to Boko Haram. In an exclusive interview with Channels Television on Tuesday, 9th of August 2022, the 2023 presidential candidate of Action Democratic Party ADP, Sani Yabagi, expressed his disappointment with the state of security in the country, especially in the north. Sani Yagi explained that if the northern governors had joined the Southwest Governors Forum in their action against insecurity, the level of insecurity in the northern part of the country would not be as bad as it is currently. The ADP 2023 presidential flag bearer berated the northern governors for their over-reliance on President Muhammadu Buhari to provide security for their respective states, claiming that the recent attack on Kuje prison in Abuja shows that even the president is not doing enough to protect the federal capital territory, Abuja. On several occasions, the Southwest governors have explained they cannot rely on the federal government for security and have also taken drastic measures towards securing the lives and properties of the Southwest people, one of which is launching of the Amotekun security outfits. Traditional leaders in Lagos and Ondo State have appealed to the federal government and their respective state government to support efforts by traditional institutions in the country in the fight against insecurity. Some of the traditional leaders made the appeal in separate interviews with the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, in Lagos on Tuesday. According to them, insecurity will be better tackled if traditionalists are supported to complement the efforts of law enforcement agents. They urge the government to recognize the spiritual powers of traditionalists, which they said had proved potent over the years to fight insecurity. Oba Babatunde Soliu, the Elebo II of Oroshoki Kingdom in Lagos State, said the spiritual means of curbing insecurity was very effective in the olden days and still remain potent till today. According to him, there should be synergy between the government and various community leaders to tackle the present challenges in the country. In our community here, we have traditional ways of securing our areas against the bad boys and other security threats from outsiders, and things are working well. We need government's full support to back us up and encourage our traditionalists to fight the lingering insecurity in the country. In case you're just joining, you are watching the world news from BGI TV. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NAS, has berated the Minister of Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, over a statement not only that the federal government would not borrow money to meet the demands of the striking academic staff union of universities ASU, but also tasking parents to beg the university lecturers to return to classrooms. NANS also hinted that it would engage the federal government through the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and his education counterpart, Adamu, with a view to knowing the position of government following Keyamo's statements. NANS Vice President Special Duties, Comrade Odiahi Thomas Ikene, who addressed news conference on Monday in Abuja, said students across the country were disappointed over the comment credited to Keyamo that government has no money to meet the demands of ASU. Keyamo was said to have asked parents to beg ASU to call off the strike because, according to him, government could not afford the 1.2 trillion naira demand of the union as proposed by the Emeritus Professor Nimi Briggs Committee on Renegotiation of the 2009 FGN ASU agreements.
Students have been out of school due to inability of the federal government and ASU to reach a common agreement that will bring the strike embarked upon by lecturers. The Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Festus Keyamo, has argued on national television that it is unrealistic for the federal government to borrow money to end the month-long strike. The minister has come under attack from both online and offline users who accuse the federal government of not being serious about funding education. The National Association of Nigerian Students says the minister should not be taken seriously for making such comments.
maybe, I don't know why Festus Keyamo made that statement, maybe the product he was trying to sell he found it difficult to and had to opt for that option. But as it is, except the government comes out tomorrow to tell us that they are no longer capable, that they can no longer provide education, which is part of the basic amenities they should be providing. So we would not take the position of Festus Keyamo serious.
The students' body has also disclosed that the current leadership of the association is in the process of transiting part to the next administration. It says it has arrived at a constitution that will ensure only students vie for leadership positions.
Before, where a president or anybody can just come and then decide to leave whenever he or she likes, it is no longer so. Constitutionally now, a now president cannot stay more than 13 months. 12 months officially, then if you 3 months grace period, it is a total of 15. So as it is now, we are expecting that at least the convention is certainly not going to exceed this August. So it is not easy. We have been able to enforce
the students' union pledged.
Residents of Sabongida, Makudawa quarters, Shola quarters, and Federal Teaching Hospital (FTH) Katsina staff quarters camped for safety yesterday as bandits approached the area in the broad daylight. A witness who claimed to have seen the bandits around 1:30 p.m. said the criminals were in hot pursuit of some herders when they invaded the Sabongida quarters. The herders were grazing around Lambu Malam Mohazu. Suddenly, they sighted the bandits and they started running with their animals towards our area, Sabongida. And that was when people began to run helter-skelter, the witness said. A resident of FTH said many of the residents have moved their families out for fear of bandit attacks, noting that if the terrorists can come in broad daylight, only God knows what will happen at night. When contacted about a rumor making the rounds that people were asked to vacate FTH, the public relations officer of the hospital, Bishop Mohammed, said there was no such directive from the chief medical director, CMD, or any other authority of the hospital. He, however, admitted that there was panic in the area. People are actually afraid. These bandits were truly seen by people. Then they began to panic, and when people are panicking and they decide to leave, you cannot tell them not to go. But actually, no one asked anybody to vacate, he said. The deputy unit commander of Wakilin Yamma 1, a vigilante group in charge of the area, Abdullahi Usman Dendaura, said though the threat was real, the way people entertained fear in the area had compounded the situation. We are working in synergy with all the security agencies, and we are doing our best. But the major challenges has to do with informants who give those criminals information about who to abduct and even about the whereabouts of the security agents, he concluded. Moving forward on the world news, still on insecurity. The men of the Ondo State Security Network Agency, the Amotekun, have apprehended 6 persons suspected to have abducted a traditional head, I Chief Mukaila Bello, and 3 others along the Owo-Ikare-Akoko Road. The victims were traveling from Akure to Ikare last Thursday when the assailant attacked them around Agopano village, shooting the driver of the vehicle in the head and abducting the other occupants of the vehicle. Parading the suspect at the head office of Amotekun in Akure, the commander of the corps in Ondo State, Adetunji Adeleye, told newsmen how the suspects were apprehended. We were able to recover clothes, beads, and shoes of the victims from 2 of them, who led us to the hideout of the remaining 4, he said. We still have about 3 others, according to them at large, but we have been able to successfully find out the location of the remaining culprit, and as we talk now, the victims are alive in good condition. Also paraded are 2 men suspected to have abducted a man from his residence in Ore, Ondo State. A video shortly.
6 of the suspects here were said to have been arrested in connection with last Thursday's abduction of a traditional ruler, High Chief Mukaila, and 3 other persons. The kidnappers allegedly demanded the payment of a 50 million naira ransom. Reports say that the families of the victims pleaded with the kidnappers to reduce the ransom. Family members eventually confirmed that the traditional head and the 3 other persons were released last Saturday, but they were silent on whether ransom was paid. The commander of the Amotekun Corps gives details about the arrest.
We were able to recover clothes, beads, and shoes of the victim from 2 of them, who led us to the hideout of the remaining 4. So we still have about 3 others, according to them, at large, but we've been able to successfully find out the location of the remaining culprits. And as we talk now, the victims are alive, they are in good condition.
Meanwhile, over 160 persons, mainly youths of northern extraction, have been apprehended by the Amotekun Corps. They were said to have come into the state in these 2 trucks loaded with cows and motorcycles.
Our stop and search team saw these 2 trailers and they told them that they were on their way to Ondo State with cows. But on careful examination, we found out that they carefully concealed about 40 motorcycles with over 100 people lying down beneath the motorcycle. So we questioned where they were going and why they parked themselves and why they were avoiding the glare of people. And they said they were coming to Ondo State, Akure, and that upon interrogation, all of them do not have any address, nobody invited them, and we are becoming curious about this invasion.
The chairman of the House.
To entertainment, popular Nigeria entertainer and media personality Errëstêd Edun has refuted claims that he is a cross-dresser. The highly fashionable TV host made the statement to correct the notion that he is inspired popular crusaders such as Banditry, James Brown, and Victoria of others. He made the revelation while on Vanguard's online TV show, Launch Date with Vanguard, as he was asked about the comparison with cross-dressers. The fashion icon stated that he isn't a social media sensation and his fame wasn't a result of social media influence but a result of hard work and dedication. Errëstêd said he has been in the industry since 1994, before the advent of social media. He appreciated the influx of creatives in this generation who has carved a niche for themselves through brand presentation, social media influence, and leverage on the internet, but said that there is a wide margin between him and them. He said, "You can't rubbish the portfolio of work of someone who has been acting, modeling, and revolutionized the red carpet culture in Nigeria." Errëstêd further added that he has been a huge influence in fashion since 2005, as well as being an icon, figure, and instrumental in the success of Victoria of Nigerian artists from the generation till dates. From that story, we'll go to a foreign story. The Deputy President of Kenya, William Ruto, is leading with 991,413 votes in the presidential election that took place yesterday in Kenya. According to a Kenyan online newspaper, Nation, Ruto, who did not receive the support of his principal, President Uhuru Kenyatta, is leading the race with 51.43% votes. His main challenger, the 77-year-old Raila Odinga, comes close with 924,034, amounting to 47.65%. The 2 other presidential candidates, George Watt-Korea and David Wahiga, have 0.42% and 0.21% respectively. The results were published at 10:30 a.m. on Wednesday Nigerian time in the live update. Meanwhile, police have arrested a presiding officer and his deputy for failing to count ballot papers. The security operative Dnapp are Nicholas Inyamuya, 34, and Seria Mutskirunda, 26, were in charge of Arrëstêd police station in Kiswani, Mombasa. The report said they will be charged to court for proper investigation. And before we call it a wrap on the world news today on BGI TV, the sports news. Coach of English Premier League side Leicester City, Brendan Rodgers, watched his side lost a 2-goal lead to draw 2-2 against Brentford in the opening game of the Premier League this season. Rodgers had to a different formation from the one he used all through pre-season due to the absence of Abby Benz, who was out injured. The coach didn't have an alternative to call up. Last season, in the absence of Benz, the coach was able to call on Nigerian international winger Ademola Lookman, who was on loan from RB Leipzig. They failed to make the deal permanent with Lookman, now at a Serie A side Atlanta. The coach expressed his regrets over their inability to sign the Nigerian, saying with what he did last season, it could have been the likely replacement for Benz. At this moment in time, I would say no. That wasn't the frustration for us. That with Benz out, we didn't have a direct replacement. I would have loved to have signed Ademola, who was great last season and got over 10 goals and assists, but we weren't able to do that. Unfortunately, that means we then have to look at the squad and the team and try to adapt and then put them out to be at their best organized as they can, he concluded. That concludes the world news from BGI TV, but before we go, some major headlines. We brought to you, we have arrested or what? Church attackers, says CDS. If northern governors had done what the southwest governors did, insecurity in the north wouldn't be at the level. We also brought to you, traditionally seek support to fight security challenges. And on ASU strike, we are not happy with Keyamo over no money comment. And finally, on sports, I regret not signing Super Eagles winger Leicester City coach Brendan Rodgers confesses. That concludes the world news this hour. For more updates on YouTube, our handle is Babagagede Imo TV. Kindly subscribe, click on the notification bell and select on option all to access our broadcast. On Facebook, Bagede Imo with Alawi Adebayo. Please like and follow the page. On Instagram, Bagede Imo _22. For advertisements of your goods and services, coverage of events and function, please dial the phone number streaming on your screen for advert placements only. I am Moribe Regila Lawal. Good evening.
Or you want to listen to the latest news and gist? No stress, oh, just into BGI TV. BGI TV.